Ready to continue?
Yes.
Please do a full organoleptic tasting of these two wines. You will have 8 minutes. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Time starts.
So we have two red wines. Wine number one is a clear, bright red wine of, I would say, moderate ruby color at the core with a narrow ruby rim, doesn't show any sediment or CO2. The wine has, I would say, moderate viscosity. On the nose, it's clean, it's well defined, it shows elevated aromas of red and dark berries such as black cherries, blackberries, followed by black and red currant. The berries are ripe. Then we get a little bit of herbaceous notes like blackcurrant leaf, some cedary note, which is followed by woody vanilla, the clove, which indicates some oak aging, also like new leather. I would say there is also a touch of graphite minerality to the wine. It is developing wine. On the palate, the wine is clean, dry, and still. It has elevated, grippy, but not exactly grippy, but fine-grained, gravelly tannins, refreshing, mouth-watering acidity. It's moderate in body and alcohol. The flavors are elevated, and they show again this wonderful, bright red and black fruit, such as black cherry, black plum, blackcurrant, with a touch of sweet oak, but I wouldn't say a lot of new oak, but this clove and woody vanilla really complements nicely fruit. All that concludes in a long, lingering, slightly sweet, spicy finish, and I would say this is a really high-quality wine because of the great balance of complexity, which comes from maritime moderate climate. I would go to Old World, France, Bordeaux, Left Bank. It's based on Cabernet Sauvignon. I would say it's a Saint-Julien, 3 to 5 years old, vintage 2019. Drink it now, but it can age for another 10 years perfectly. Serve it in a sleek white red wine glass. With possible decanting, for example, for half an hour. Just open up all these aromas, serve it at 16 to 18 degrees Celsius, and would go fantastically with roasted milk cow, entrecote steak with some demi-glace sauce and heirloom vegetables on the side, or hard cheese such as Comté. And wine number two is again red wine of deep red ruby color at the core, with a narrow ruby rim, doesn't show any sediment or CO2, has moderate viscosity. On the nose, it's clean. It's moderately intense. It shows again this darker, a bit of darker fruit flavor aromas, such as blackberries and blackcurrant, followed by black cherries and plum. There's a more earthy notes like a mushroom, wet, damp soil, leather, subtle notes of clove, indicating oak aging. It's developing. On the palate, wine is dry, clean, and still. It has pronounced but fine tannins, elevated juicy acidity. It's full body with a slightly warming alcohol. It has elevated flavors of dark berries, like brooding flavors of black cherries, blackcurrant, blackberries, followed by damp soil, earthy notes, maybe a touch of tobacco and clove. I would say some oak aging is here, but it's quite well integrated and doesn't feel too much. It ends with a long finish, which shows a little bit more of a vanilla of new leather, indicating oak aging. I would say again it's a high quality wine because of the great structure of well-defined aromas. It has a little bit more age. Both wines have been classically made, aged in, I would say, barrique, part new, part old. The second wine comes from a warmer vintage. I would go also to maritime, moderate climate, France, Bordeaux, left bank, but I would go to Saint-Estèphe, but older vintage, I would say up to 10 years, so 2015, because of the warmth, like this warming alcohol. I would serve it in a sleek red wine glass with prior decanting for an hour to open up all these aromas because it's quite still tight. Also, decanting might be needed for possible sediments. Serve it at 16 to 18 degrees Celsius, and would go fantastically with a slightly more earthy dish such as venison steak with some mushrooms, black red wine jus sauce with some blackberries inside to bind all these wonderful dark fruity flavors in the wine with the dish. At the same time, this strong tannic texture would structure would really work well with the proteins. The wine itself will soften with such dish. For a cheese course, I would go to like aged Comté, but with some shaved truffles on top again to enhance all these wonderful aromas and flavors of maturity. I would say both wines are also quite expensive. I would be saying it's like a premium wines because of this great definition of aromas and flavors. Also, if you would like to go with something lighter in terms of the dishes, you could go with our specialty Hokkaido tartar, which is made from ground beef on a Hokkaido bread, served with some truffles on top. Also, we have prepared a nice kind of coffee oil to drizzle on the top of the dish, and that would work very well with the oaky flavors of both wines. I think I'm ready for the next class. You stay here, and there is a second part for this task. Please have a sip of water. Ready? Yes. Now you have 1 minute to tell us what these two wines have in common. Time starts now. I would say a few things. I would be saying that it's a grape varieties. It's a Bordeaux-based grape varieties, and also the climate, which is a maritime moderate climate. So both wines show this slight herbaceous notes, a little bit of earthy character, but it seems that wine number one is, as I mentioned, is slightly younger, from cooler vintage, while the wine number two seems to be coming from a warmer vintage and has a little bit more of the alcohol. So I would say the one common thing is Cabernet Sauvignon, which is the main grape variety in the wine, and the region, it's Bordeaux Red Bank.